And welcome back. Welcome back to Vanessa's podcast. So today I have Mariann Petri. Hello, Mariann.
Hello.
So good to have you. I'm glad that you reached to me because you have a wonderful book about your story, about things that you have to dealt with in the past. And it's a self-help manual, views on parental alienation. And the name of the book is Dismantling Family Court Corruption. So when did you come about producing that book?
Well, I started it last year, August, and it
Okay.
took me 2 months to write because I just wanted to get it over with, you know. And
So,
I found a publisher, and she tore it apart and put it back together again in better and helped a lot with that with Triumph Press. I don't know what I would have done without her, Melanie Davis,
mhm.
but she helped just I just put all my thoughts even more together and more sound, though I did collect all the information with the psychologists, the journalists, and even an attorney talking about family court and what that has on the effects of the family and children as well.
Yeah, so you have like a good structure backing up your story and what happened in family courts and all this. And so you wanted people to know that because you think that it was very unfair what happened, and you've been interviewed to many places too.
Yeah.
So it's a terrible thing. The parental alienation, what is it is exactly?
Well, it is when these parents, when they divorce, if they feel they can get something out of the other parent, they'll shoot out a silver bullet of we'll say that parent's mentally ill. And then this will go before a judge and they will take the kids away from that parent based on what that parent has said. Then that parent will directly do things with that child, like, for instance, have a family counseling meeting, but not invite the other parent. And this happens to a lot of parents. They're out of the loop. And sometimes in these meetings, they will actually read court transcripts and court orders to the child with a counselor present, making it sound like it's okay to do that. When they're really creating a lot of anxiety in that child and
Hmm.
sickness,
Yes, yes.
stomach ulcers, things like that. And they don't care. They want to the goal is to turn the child against the other parent,
Yeah, and
calling
they don't realize the stress, the anxiety they bring to the whole family. And like you said, they don't care. If they did care, they will not do such a thing. They will
Mhm,
not go further because the one who's not guilty will never do such a thing. So usually
mhm,
the guilty one they don't have much hurt, much compassion, and
mhm.
they will do whatever it takes to win. It's just
Right.
about winning, really.
Yes, and they do what they definitely do whatever it takes to win, whatever lie it takes,
Yeah, and they will
and
make people believe their lies too.
they're very good at it. They're very persuasive, even in the school districts. And I believe the school districts, in my opinion, are helping these alienators further alienate that child from the non-custodial parent.
Yeah, so like rumor and myth and word to mouth, conversation, and then it just goes to the children's and the friends of family friends, and it just builds that whole story, and then the parents being accused of anything is hand up alone with no voice, and
Right.
that's a sad thing because they, like you say, they say that you have a mental incapacity of any type. As soon as people hear that, that means, oh, okay, we can target them. It's going to be
Mhm.
easy. It's going to be easy target. And
Right.
that happens a lot. And that's just funny because the the monster is usually the one who has the mental issues. It's the
Exactly.
attackers, and they don't see that because they're really good at their game.
And
Yeah,
I wish the judges would be more adept to recognizing a narcissistic personality disorder, a
yeah,
bipolar
yeah,
personality disorder, and a borderline personality disorder. These
yeah.
judges have got to know when a parent and other witnesses are lying and when the kids are coached.
Yeah, that's the problem. They can't, they're too busy, they have too many cases. They don't see them long enough to like, to be able to see the difference. And I think some of them are so charming and they're really good, some sociopath at what they do because that's what they do. So
Right.
it's really hard to not see it. I mean, to see different. I
Mhm.
think if in a relationship it will take you 6 months to see their true nature, it's gonna take a long time for somebody else to see. So yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, there's so many sociopaths out there. So let's discuss. Let's start with personality disorder first, and then we'll go more on parental alienation. So, what can you tell me about personality disorder from what you know, what you've experienced in your past?
What I have experienced, and I'm not a psychologist, so I wish I could talk more intelligently about there's different types of narcissism, like covert narcissism. There's like a whole list of types of narcissisms. Um, but some of them, they come across very charming. And what they'll do is they'll marry rather quickly. And as that's what happened in my story is the ex met this woman and married her within 7 months. And that's not giving the kids time to adjust to, hey, there's a new spouse coming into the picture.
Hmm.
And then from there, he wanted them to call her mom.
Wow, so quickly.
Very quickly, in fact, of course, I went to an attorney who tried to put a stop to that. It couldn't be stopped
Wow.
at all. And tried, they were denying that was happening. And what they'll also do, these narcissists, is they'll flip things back on you. Whatever they'll say, well, it's your fault when it was actually they did something, but then they'll spin it and put it back onto you.
Yeah, that's the expert at that. That's what they do. They make it, you have to take the blame. And every time they do something, the more you be at blame, the less they been looked at. That's their way of not reflecting whatever they done wrong. And they also like to make you carry guilt. So regular people have guilt, emotion, sensitivity, things that they don't have in them. It's
Mhm.
been buried in them for so many years. So they know that. They know that we have guilt and we feel bad and we try to do the best that we
Mhm.
can. So they manipulate your
Mhm.
thoughts and all of this. It's all manipulation. So the faster you can detect it, the better off you are to get out because there's really nothing you can do to fix them. So it's
And
really terrible if you're stuck in some relationship. Like, how long were you in that relationship? Uh,
well, I stuck it out for 10 years. And then when I told my friend I was getting a divorce, she said, it took you this long. And it's like, well, I guess it did because I was trying to make things work.
yeah,
And when you've got infants, it's very hard to make things, you're trying to keep it together and keep the marriage together for their sake. And uh, I was watching TV and I heard Dr. Phil say children would rather grow up outside a broken home than inside a broken home. So,
yeah. But we always do that. We try to. We hope and there's a chance then we can make things better. And that's why we last so long because they make you believe that they want to change. And we get
right,
caught up in it. And then we like, sure, I give you another chance because they're very convincing. Because if
right,
they lose you, they lose their narcissistic supply. And that
right.
supply is you. The more pain you create, the more suffering you have around you, the more they feed on your pain.
Mhm.
So if they have to do anything they can because that's how they fuel themselves, you know.
Yes.
So that's why they will be very convincing. I've dealt with
Yeah.
so many in my life, so I really I can't believe, you know, I just turned 40 and I have probably I dated all type of guys, and I probably dated maybe at least four really strong narcissists and sociopaths. So I know their game,
Yeah.
but I didn't know for a long time, just like you know, I'd be caught up for a year before I start detecting that it has been lying to me or anything. Really.
Well,
So,
yeah. I mean, because I had been a nurse for 23 years, but I had also been a psychiatric nurse for almost 4 years. But I was still very naive in life. I was
mhm.
still in my, well, I would say late 20s, early 30s. But the thing was, I asked one of the seasoned nurses, what's a personality disorder? And she said, oh, that's just a nice term for a hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going,
Oh, it's
okay.
okay. It's not his
So,
fault.
I mean, what we saw, so it's all we really saw on that psych unit were the really bad cases of bipolar personality disorders and borderline personality disorders. No one ever explained narcissism to me, and I really wish they would have
Yeah, we'll have
talked
changed your
about
life.
these.
Guess what? I've learned only since last year, maybe not even from all the experience that I had. I thought I knew, but it's only after I came across a bunch of video on YouTube from this lady, Ashley Berge. She has a
Mm-hmm.
podcast, like 600 video. She does celebrity perspective, no, no, and she interviews celebrities, and she has all her video. It's about all those different type of abuse. You get a silent treatment, you get ghosted, you being how they call this gaslighting,
Oh, yes.
manipulated guys, all of the type of disorder and how to deal with those issues, and the guy who are like playing on the guilt, or the
Mm-hmm.
people who even like make you repeat over and over so they can like discredit you. So
Right.
I came across her, then I have a psychologist podcast and I have a, you know, therapy groups and stuff, and I saw like I discovered so much more. And then listening to other people experience, just, you know, random people telling you about their experience, we'll see, ah, okay, that's common trait, same thing, exact same thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, there's
Mm-hmm.
people who can be blind for 20 years.
Oh, yes.
Like you were young and naive and you didn't see it. And so what do you think about your partner now when you discover his true nature?
Well, I was like shocked. Um, I was shocked that the woman he married also is a narcissist. She also helped him hone his skills, we'll
Wow.
say. Yes. Because what I didn't know was and I mean, people find this funny, but I was playing matchmaker for him and I set him up on a date with her. She
Oh,
was
wow.
a distant friend.
Mhm.
We, she and I were like acquaintances, but I thought, why not get dating experience? I'm not saying you have to marry the first person you see, but
Mhm.
that's exactly what he did. And the thing was, is they talked on the phone, and within 2 weeks, she moved in with him, and that was not good for the kids.
Wow.
I mean, it's like you should at least try to set a good example for your kids that okay, they're going to live at their house. They're until we know this is going to happen. We're
Yes.
going to get married. You know, wait a year. At least, you know, give it time because you don't know who you're marrying until you get engaged. Because I have found in the past I've been engaged before, and as soon as they gave me that ring, then I started getting treated badly.
Huh. Yeah. Because he was like, that's it, I got her on a hook. As soon as
Right,
he gets you in the hook, you like, he doesn't have to make any work. He doesn't have to do anything more for you. It's like,
right,
you here to stay, and you better not fight me. Because if you fight me, you're gonna go to hell, because that's how they see things. You know? And
right,
that's sad. Some of them can be aggressively dangerous. Some of them are not dangerous. They just, they just
y-
don't care, or they just show no care at all. no love, no nothing. And yeah, there's also the zombie ones that they just kind of, it's just about them.
Hmm.
It's not violent, but it's just has to always be them being right, you know.
Right.
It's so you if you go against them, that's when you start having problem. You
Right.
have to just let them be in control.
Hmm.
You know, and I'm just tired of those type of personality or have to be in control. You know, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yes. It's exhausting, is what it is, because constantly correcting them, like, don't talk to me like that. I'm not stupid. Don't talk to me like that. And that can go on for years. I hate to say it, but if you think you're in it for the long haul, you're going to put up with that for years, and it's going to put you into an early grave. And
Yeah,
I decided I was going to get out
yeah.
because red flags started presenting themselves. They were presenting themselves even as I was dating him, but I was too naive to notice them.
Wow. Yeah, you know, it's funny. After you get experience, you can see the red flag so much easier on other people once you know. And once you pay attention. But when you don't pay attention, they're all around you and you just like ignore them. Like, oh no, it's fine. Oh, it's nothing. So you find excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know that I notice red flags on people. Like if somebody is like really showing you respect, he will not say that. You know, if they try to manipulate you, you can see it. So it's good to watch for the red flags. Yeah, really important. It
Right.
saves you a lot of headache and time, and you really don't need waste any time on on people like that because
Okay.
they don't support you morally. They don't encourage you in your life and your career, and all they're gonna do is bring you down. And
Right.
don't need that, you know.
Hmm.
So
Right.
so uh, um, how is things now? Better for you? Like since you've
Well,
been able to, you making that movie, um,
thanks. Yes.
custody denied.
Yes, James Russell. When the book came out, I was really surprised that 3 weeks later, uh, James Russell of Canada, Manx Motion Picture Studios, he came and sent me an email wanting to make a movie. And would I sell him the book rights? And I thought, why not? Because maybe if we could get this film made in an Aaron Brockovich style, maybe this will bring society to an awareness of what's going on with the court system and parental alienation and these personality disorders that are getting away with murder in the courtroom.
So did they already started the movie, or it's like in progress right now?
He has written a screenplay, he has a director looking at it, and he has an actress looking at it. So I don't know what will come of that because the director started looking at it late last week, and so did that actress. So we'll just wait and see
All
what will
right, so it's
come of
looking
it.
good. At least it's going to be happening. It's going to
Right.
be a movie, so that sounds good. And so they can find you on your website, dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com.
Correct.
Uh, and your book will be under the podcast, so anybody who needs to know. So what would you find if I'm starting to read your book? What kind of thing would I find in your book?
Well, you'll find my story, but like I would say maybe halfway through the book or so, I also put poems in there. I put some
Oh,
legal poems. I put poems about narcissists in there and, lawyers. I
okay.
don't th- I don't think they some of them like them actually. Some of the attorneys like the poems. In
Oh,
fact, I'll be coming out with a book of poems
oh,
of the law and
yeah.
narcissists
That's
and
different, you know? Yeah.
yes, and parental alienation.
Hmm.
But I need to also write another book that I have in my mind that I want to come out with maybe the following year. But I also explain with Dr. Roseman, Dr. Craig Childress, and how they explain parental alienation. and also the warning signs that your children will show, which actually surprised me when I was reading their work, was that your child will actually spy on you and report back to the other parent.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
So the other parent will say, "Oh, tell me whatever you heard. What's happening? How did she act? Did she say anything?" So it's starting to be like that little battle between each other, kind of like a divorce type of
yes.
thing. Yeah.
Yep. In fact, my kids admitted to eavesdropping on me because I would go into my bedroom, close the door, and I would go to the other side of the room and sit down on the floor by my bed, and I would talk to my friend on the phone, but I would just like whisper. I would just, so no one would hear me. I didn't know they were on the other side of the door watching me that closely in
Oh,
my own home when I had them. And
wow.
then there was the time where my son had an injury at school, and I really didn't want it. He was on his way to the emergency room, and a friend had called me and said, "Just so you know, this is what happened at school." And I was very grateful that I knew about it. But yeah, I was kept out of the loop pretty good, and I was warned by my attorney that his goal was to get me completely out of their lives.
Wow. Like you never existed. Just like
Right,
make sure that you can't do anything, you can't reach out. So through the school, through anything, you were kind
right,
of blocked from having any access to your family. So
right.
it's wow, that's terrible.
In fact, the ex had reached out to my parents after some court function, and he wanted to speak to my father, and my father said no, he would not speak to him. And I called my lawyer, and the lawyer sent over a cease to desist letter to never call my parents again.
Oh,
And the thing was, what had happened was these judges, they don't know what they're doing. There's more to my case than, I mean, it's all in the book, but there was collusion. See, and the thing was, the judge ordered visitation. He just wouldn't follow it. He was going by the advice of his lawyer, who thinks he's a judge, but he's not.
oh, I see. He kind of do whatever he wanted. He's like, oh, the lawyer says that, so I'm good. And
Right,
also, the thing if somebody has more money or more connection, they use that too against you.
right.
So
See,
if he
yes,
has like some legal, connection in his world,
right,
easy to like kind of
easy,
stop somebody from like, yeah, it's
right.
sad. Because if you
It
have
was
nothing, then you don't have much help on your side too. So I know
no.
how hard it might have been for you and like just to step through the doors, just try to be heard and listen. And how long did it take you to finally say, I'm gonna expose this, I'm gonna tell everybody? How long did it take you to do that?
Well, it probably took me a couple years to see, gee, do I want to even write this book? Because this would be emotionally taxing.
Yeah.
Because when you go through that, anyone who's gone through family court and you're just not the same person. You've got post traumatic stress disorder, you've got anxiety, you've got depression. You're constantly worried about your kids at all times.
Oh,
The problem was the judge and the opposing attorney were working together in the courthouse years prior to him being the judge, so they had a working relationship. And I could have gone in there with a Hollywood team and I still would have lost.
oh,
And in the beginning, I want to say that when we got divorced, we mediated. We did very well together, co-parenting, until that third party entered the picture when I introduced him to that woman.
wow. And then that's when things escalated and get worse.
Right.
There's no chance for you to win. Oh, wow.
I tried. In fact, I had to go represent myself because I ran out of money and I was continuously swiping charge cards up to over 30 grand. It had to be over 30 grand because we're
Wow.
still paying on it now. But
Wow.
yeah, and I can honestly say I fought for what the kids wanted, which was 50-50. And
Hmm.
I fought for what they wanted and their wishes were. However, we did not know that the attorney and the judge would twist my son's words to fit their own benefit. So you could have a non-custodial parent pay the child support. And that's your moneymaker right there.
So you had to pay the
Right.
child support? Oh, wow.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's how they got the kids away from me, was calling me mentally ill, even though the judge did order a psychological evaluation that came out pristine. I was not
Yeah.
in any way a danger to anybody. I'd been a nurse for 23 years. If
Mhm.
I was going to have mental problems, I would have been fired a long time ago.
Yeah. And so they even though you came out clear, they still didn't care. They just dismissed it like it didn't happen.
Right, right.
Oh, that's
And
terrible.
the kids were very let down and wanting just to go back to the way things were for the last 10 years, which was bouncing back and forth between the houses, 5 days on, 5 days off. That's what we had been doing until this disruption that was caused by the ex and his wife. And when they would go into court, they would bring in an entourage where it was just me and my parents. And my parents are elderly. They were like 79, 82 at that time. They were elderly. And they're up against like 6 other people sitting there laughing and clapping and misbehaving badly. And this judge just lets them.
Wow.
And I had posted that on Facebook, that when they took the kids away, they were laughing, clapping, cheering, standing up, and just jumping up and down. You should have seen it.
Wow, it's terrible.
And I was sitting there looking at them going, am I looking at this? And why isn't he slamming his gavel down saying order in the court? He's not even doing that. And then as we're leaving the courtroom, my attorney and I were turning around the corner, and there is his wife crying to a group of women. She's just weeping tears. I'm thinking to myself, okay, you're calling me crazy. And one minute you're laughing and clapping and cheering. The next minute you're crying a river. And
Wow.
so actually, I had a lawyer write to me, and she said, people don't, when a child is taken away, there's usually no emotion in the courtroom. If there is, there's tears.
Yeah.
Therefore, if there was laughing, clapping, and cheering, there was a lot of lying going on.
Yeah.
I said there was. I have every
Yeah,
court transcript.
oh, you did? Yeah. To prove. Wow, and that's not good for the children, like dealing with all this stuff for all these years, you know. And so I'm
No,
glad
no.
you step out of this thing and just, get your voice, get your book out there, and then just protect the newer family who are gonna experience
Right.
something like this, or anybody who's gonna go through like this. Maybe they're gonna come across this podcast or across any of you or your website or your book, and you just give them some idea, some strength, some things that they can do to protect them.
Right.
So like how they can advance, because you were down, but you found a way to
Mhm.
break through at some
And
point. Yeah.
right. And with the parental alienation, and that's talked about like with the Dr. Craig Childress and Dr. Roseman, and Ed Crook is in there, Karen Woodall, and attorney Nick Balla. He's in Canada, Ontario. But they were talking about the signs and symptoms, and this is not good for kids to go through this, being hauled into a courtroom, even if they are sequestered, to talk to a judge and a bunch of attorneys.
Yeah.
And the thing is, these kids are coached to tell. The first thing the judge should ask, if he has any sense, which a lot of them don't, but I'm just saying, if they had any sense, they would say to the child, who drove you here? And what did they tell you to tell me about your your mother or your father?
Yeah. But
And
they
they
didn't
don't.
even ask. Yeah.
So they just ask leading questions and switch things around to how they want the case to turn out, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I can tell that your situation was like one of those situations that's just really not on your side, you know. Sounds like it was all on his side and none on your side. Like there was nothing for you. Like not even like, oh, maybe someone is gonna step up or say something, or like between the judge and the lawyer, it's just like all against you. Like, wow, that was terrible.
Even my lawyer said, Your Honor, we have done everything you have asked. Why can't we go back to 50-50? And he said, I have my reasons. Well, Your Honor, what are your reasons? We've done everything. He repeated himself, I have my reasons.
Oh wow, that's what he said.
Yes. And we
Well,
were
still also
dumbfounded.
sad, huh? Yeah.
Then, in a couple months later, he died.
Oh, what
And
happened?
he had some illness. And it was funny because when I was on the stand, he wanted to know what medications I was on. And I'm thinking to myself, you're putting me through hell and stressing me out. And I know you're going to take these kids away. So I was on an antidepressant and an anti-anxiety. Nothing major. It wasn't an antipsychotic. But according to the judge in his mind, I don't know what he was thinking.
Uh-huh. He thought you
But
had
when
a antipsychotic or something. Huh.
yeah, he was running it like a three-ring circus. One
Huh.
minute he's talking about child custody, which is what he should have been just talking about. But then he was adding two other topics. And I'm thinking, what is he on? Because he
Wow.
even asked his clerk or his pit boy, whatever they call them, how does this thing work? He didn't know how something worked. And I'm like, does he know what he's doing? So when he died, we often wondered, what was wrong with him. It
Yeah,
still
it's
troubles
possible
me.
there was something. Yeah.
And so when he died, my son said, go back, and we wanted to go for another custody trial. We want to be put on the witness stand. I said, okay, I'll go to the conciliatory office and I'll get a new trial. And I brought in a bunch of evidence that the children were being neglected. And believe it or not, the opposing attorney showed up, but the father didn't. And the father really is supposed to show up to that because it is about the kids.
Uh-huh.
And as it turned out, as I presented this evidence, and the opposing attorney stood up and he says, I'm tired of this ridiculousness. And he slammed his briefcase shut. And I saw the conference officer, and her eyes were like, and he stormed out. And she looked at me and she said, this is about the kids. I said, I know. And I was like, I hope I said to her, thank you for listening. Thank you for the conference, And then I left and she put her order in that there would be a new conference. So the kids were excited. I called in a bunch of witnesses. They all took days off from work. What I
Nice.
didn't, what I didn't know was that the judge was also in cahoots with the opposing attorney. And they pulled him out of retirement. You're talking to a 90-year-old judge who would probably rather take a nap. I'm sorry, I'm getting sarcastic. But
Yeah. And he put him insane? Oh, really?
yeah, he was that old. And he was also friends with the opposing attorney. They also had a history.
Yeah.
And I wondered, we got in there and I thought, where are my kids? There's no kids here. And what had happened was, we all stood up and the judge spoke to the opposing attorney who basically said, fluff this off. And the judge then really didn't say much to me. What he did want was $1,500 from me because apparently the opposing attorney thought he should have an appearance fee for that conciliatory conference we went to. Now
Oh.
I'm not paying his attorney fees. If his client cannot pay his attorney fees, that's his problem.
Mhm.
But I'm allowed to have a conciliatory conference and I don't have to pay for you to attend.
Wow. So he tried
So
to get you to pay? Huh.
right. And therefore, since I didn't pay it, I never got a bill there. Bear in mind, I should have told that to the judge. Your Honor, I never got a bill. But the judge said, well, since you didn't pay that, this isn't going to take place today. So he just picked up the file, which was it had to be, we're talking huge file. And he
Wow.
just walked off. And as he was walking off, I yelled, "Your Honor, my children are being neglected."
Mhm.
And his attorney just split. It's like, I don't believe this. That was with no due process. They don't care about kids being neglected. They don't care.
So they, yeah, they didn't listen. So like it wasn't the point. What they wanted is just to see you out of the picture, and that's it.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, they just wanted, yeah, out. And so I had got to pick up my kids that day. It was interesting because when they got in the car and they said, "Mom, was there a court today?" I said, "Yes, we all were there. Grandma and Grandpa were there. All my friends were there that took off work. Where were you?" And he answered, "Well, Dad said it was canceled this morning." I said, "No, it was not canceled by no means. We were looking for you."
Wow.
So he lies to his kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that that was a long struggle for you. Like you've dealt with
Mhm.
so much. I'm glad that it's over and then you never have to do that again. And
Yes,
then you laying out that story out there so everybody can, know what's going on sometime in courts and other matters too for so many other things. It's I mean sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. We can't say it's all bad, but there's just some, you know, for some reason, there's just some case that just not come to resolution the right way. So anyway,
right.
so good to have you. Thank you so much. I hope people are going to check out your book and preview, and maybe they can get a copy from you and find you on
Yeah.
Facebook as well.
Yes, I'm also on Twitter as well as I'm under at Petri Mariann.
Okay.
I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn as well as Facebook. You'll find me on Facebook under my name.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's just a easy way to find people on Facebook these days.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I also have a Facebook page, Dismantling Family Court Corruption.
Oh, okay.
So, and also on my dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com site, I also have blogs that might help people, talk about parental alienation, what family court does to these kids, and just trying to put
Get some
information
advice.
out there.
Yeah,
Yes.
like learn how to get a good advocate. Because sometimes people can pay for lawyers. Like you say, you had to represent yourself at one time. And there's some people who are advocates who are good, who could help. So
Mhm.
sometimes there's might be somebody out there that can help you. So you don't do it
Right.
alone.
Yeah.
It's to do it alone against evil mind,
Yeah.
sociopath.
Right.
Yeah, it is just the way it is. It's like people don't want to say it, but there's a sociopath out there. It's like
It's too bad.
more than it ever been in the world. Like it wasn't there, like I don't know, 15 years ago it wasn't that bad. But I just think there's like way more now than it
Right.
was back then. Mm.
Well, what I noticed was Dr. Mark Roseman said that when these court things happen and these kids are ripped away from a fit parent, this affects 6 future generations coming down the pike. So
Wow.
if we can just act like mature adults and just mediate and work together. If you've ever seen the film Erasing Family, that talks with kids that have been alienated and what it has done to their lives. But at the end of the movie, it shows how Sweden's model is mediation. Sweden isn't saying that there isn't high litigation, but for the most part, parents are just sitting down, writing on a piece of paper who's going to pay for what, and they interview the kids that are bouncing back and forth from the houses, 5 days on, 5 days off. They said, it's hard to pack and this and that, but at least we get to see both our parents. And
Yeah.
that's what these kids need is they need to see both parents.
Yeah, equality. Yeah.
And as a parent, when you're dating and remarrying, you've got to lay it down on the line that, okay, I'm mediating with my ex, stay out of it. We're going to
Yeah,
keep
like
it as
don't
this.
involve a new person in the whole court system problem.
Right.
So
Uh,
stay true to your family and just don't do that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was an honor to have you. We have to shut that down now. Sorry.
Thank you so much for
All
having
right.
me, Vanessa.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Bye.
Bye bye.